In coming 4th of July, Otto Place is going to launch and the floor plans are already out. And this time around, it has more floor plans variety compared to Novo Place. So later, I will show you the 3-bedroom compact first before we go to the 4 and the 3+ study. Let's go. For this layout, the first thing you'll notice is that the dining area is wider than the one in Novo. And upon entering the kitchen, you can notice that the washer area is no longer a separate area like the one in Novo. So developer built a separation wall between the washer and kitchen, the stove area. This is very welcome for those owners who like to cook, but yet they don't want washer area to be within the kitchen compound. The very interesting to notice is that all the internal walls of Otto Place can be hacked, meaning if you want to make the whole area a complete 1-bedroom or studio, you may do so. So there is something very interesting later you see from the other floor plans, that for couples who don't have kids, they can combine a lot of rooms together, and that will be a very interesting thing to see. Last thing you notice for type C1 is that the introduction of a rear window that is along the corridor side. I believe this is meant for cross ventilation by the developer, and that will greatly enhance the airflow within the unit itself. For type C2, the most obvious change will be actually nothing. Okay, a few minor changes for type C2 is that the balcony will be a panoramic 180 degrees view rather than one side will be covered by a wall. Then the second thing is that you will notice there's no more glass wall in between the living and the kitchen area. And the last thing that you will notice will be that the dining area is also slightly wider compared to the one in Novo Place. For type C1 and type C2, mainly they are facing out, and there's only 2 stacks of C2 that is facing inwards and one of them facing the pool. So this will be meant for those first timers because I believe the price point will be very entry friendly. If you like this kind of content and you like to support me, please give me a like and do subscribe, because I will do more for Otto Place in the following weeks, and the next one that will be coming will be the Pasir Ris Beach EC, which I will follow up after Otto Place. Let's go to the first 3+ study, which is our unique C3. In comparison to Novo Place, which is similar to our Otto C4 and C5, the C3 of Otto is a totally different layout, which Hoi Hub used to do it before, and now they are reintroducing back to their project itself. So for type C3, you can see that it is a unique kitchen beside the living room layout. There's a separate door where the kitchen can enter to the balcony and enter to the living room itself. This kind of layout promotes alfresco dining, and the kitchen will be a lot brighter due to the placement towards the same facing as the living room. So another thing you can notice is the kitchen also can see through to the living room to make it like an open concept kitchen. You will notice that there's a small window nearer to the foyer area. It also meant to promote cross ventilation. Next, beside the study corner, you can see that actually the yard is separated from the kitchen. So it is very similar to Novo Place type C1 layout, where the washer area is separated from the kitchen. So this, they bring it into C3. So some like, some don't like, but to me, I think for people who don't like the washer to be seen in the kitchen area, this will be an ideal layout for them. Okay, the bedrooms will be very similar to type C1 to C2, so I will not elaborate on that. But one thing I noticed is that the foyer has an extended wall area that you can do a lot more shoe cabinet towards the foyer. To me, I think this layout might be the first to sell out because there's only 2 stacks and they are all facing the pool. Let's go to type C4 and type C5. And as we know, for Novo, the 3+ study type C3 is the first to be stamped out during the launch, and a lot of people are waiting for bounce out unit for Novo as well. So thankfully my clients managed to get 2 of the 3+ study that bounce out. So The developer noticed the feedback and they introduced more 3+ study this time with a slight variation in the living room itself. The 3+ study uniqueness is because they introduced the study into the master itself rather than in the typical living room. So buyers of those 3+ study can choose to combine the study with the master or separate out into a study room itself. So for type C4 or C5 for Otto Place, the same concept remains. There's only a few changes between the living room and the corridor. Okay, so for type C4, the kitchen will be a L shape rather than a two-side. And for type C5, you can see that the extended dining area and the kitchen become a two-sided kitchen, which you're going to see in the Showflat. And the next thing I noticed is that there is also another ventilation window in the master room itself to promote the cross ventilation this time. So for the previous layout, it is in the living room, but this time round, this window is seen in the master. So the only difference between C4 and C5 is that what is outside this window. Okay, if you notice for type C4, the AC latch is outside this small window. But for type C5, it's only a RC latch. Okay, the difference of these two ledges is that AC is meant to put your aircon compressor, but for the RC, it's just a shelter for the window. So there's no good or bad because since you're going to on the aircon, you will be closing the windows. But that is the main difference of these two layouts. Another rare layout in Novo Place that is also sold in the first day will be our D1, the 4-bedroom compact. So this time round, the developer retained mostly of the same layout, but they introduced a small study corner in the middle of the unit. And the developer also introduced a lot more stacks for D1 for the buyer to choose this time round. So even though there's a lot of choices, don't wait until the second timer balloting. So do let me know if you're keen to join the Eapp application coming June the 4th to 19, which is the booking day. And if you notice the hackable wall for D1, you can see that the master combined with bedroom 2 and bedroom 4, the walls are all hackable. So remember I talked about it can be a gigantic master room. This is the one you may consider if you are a small family or you're only 2 of you and you want to buy a D1 layout to break away the walls to make it into a gigantic master room. Pretty interesting, huh? Okay, now the last layout, which is our biggest D2 layout. The developer also retained most part of the previous D2 layout, which is also fully sold as of now. But a few complained that the balcony is a little small. So this time around for Otto Place, the developer introduced a wider living room that is almost the same length as the living hall. And they also squeezed the kitchen a little bit to give you a wider dining area. As the balcony already stretched towards the proposed study area, you can see that the developer also introduced a door that will open towards the balcony. So to me, I think the use of this door is either when you're going to enclose a study and then they can have an exit to the balcony, or even when you use the whole area as the living room, you may not need to open the sliding door to access the balcony by using this swing door. Okay, in summary, I believe Otto Place have listened to the feedback of Novo Place buyers and they improvise and improve a little bit in the layout of Otto Place. So many place, a bit weird. Okay. As Otto Place is going to launch within a month, which is the 4th of July, please let me know if you're keen, and especially for those who are really interested, let me know so we can meet up to discuss on the easy ballot flow and of course your financing as well, as none of my buyers are able to borrow full loan. And this is something very important to discuss before the launch itself. So stay tuned for more video like this, and the next one I will touch on the facilities, which is very similar to Novo Place, but the developer introduced a few interesting things in the Otto Place itself. I will show it to you what they are. See you in the next one.